The difference between a dry, tough piece of chicken and a perfectly juicy one is a microscopic magnetic reaction triggered by salt. You'll discover 5 ways sodium ions chemically unwind proteins to trap water and erase bitterness from your vegetables. When salt hits your food, it actually splits into roughly 40% sodium and 60% chloride, and one of those halves acts like a microscopic magnet for water. And salt doesn't just change the physical food on your plate, it actually hijacks the biological wiring inside your body. Meat is built from tightly wound bundles. The main structural muscle fibers that make up meat are called myosin and actin. They act like the microscopic ropes that muscles use to flex. Salt physically unravels these tightly wound proteins. It forces them to open up and connect with each other into a completely new structure. This invisible unraveling process is the secret to perfectly cooked chicken breasts that never dry out. Chemists call this dissolving into a liquid-like state, solubilizing. Think of it like unspooling a tightly wound ball of yarn so the loose strings can tangle and connect. As the University of Tennessee Meats Chemistry lecture notes explain, while the sodium ion primarily affects flavor, the chloride ion is responsible for physically changing the structure and electrical charge of meat protein. This brings us to the magnetic half of table salt. The chloride ion acts like a magnet inside the meat. It increases the meat's net negative charge, acting as static electricity that pulls things toward it. Like rubbing a balloon on your hair to make it stick to a wall. It violently pulls in and traps the positive hydrogen pole of surrounding water molecules. This magnetic effect means your steak holds on to its own juices even under the extreme moisture-robbing heat of a grill. An r/food science discussion explains it perfectly. By disrupting protein structure, salt prevents the coil from densely coagulating or clumping when heated, so more of the water molecules remain bound. If you sprinkle dry salt on meat right before cooking, you guarantee a tough sear. The salt initially pulls water out, creating a salty puddle on the surface. But if you wait an hour, the meat eventually sucks that puddle back deep inside to tenderize itself. Dry brining significantly improves moisture retention. Giving a steak a dry rub-down so it marinates in its own juices is known as dry brining. This simple chemical locking mechanism is how human civilization preserved meat for thousands of years before refrigerators existed. Salt acts like a powerful sponge. It permanently binds to free water molecules, lowering the food's water activity. It locks the tap so bacteria can't get a drink of water, completely halting the enzymatic reactions that make food rot and decay. When you grind meat to make sausage, you introduce a massive amount of loose fat. If you just cook a plain mix of ground meat and fat, it falls apart. The mixture crumbles into dry meat and a pool of greasy liquid in the pan. Salt fixes this by turning a solid block of meat into a sticky paste. Salt extracts the structural muscle protein to use as a binder. It pulls out the myosin we just talked about to form a binding gel. This meat gel physically traps the fat. It forces the oil and water to blend smoothly together in a process called emulsifying. It is exactly like shaking a vinaigrette until the oil and vinegar stop separating. Without salt acting as this chemical glue, a sausage wouldn't have a snap. The salt creates a permanent physical matrix. It permanently binds the fat and water, creating a tight, springy texture that holds completely firm when you bite into it. Baking bread relies on an entirely different structural change. Flour contains proteins that tangle together when wet. Salt acts like an invisible shield wrapping around this stretchy web of dough. The separated microscopic building blocks of table salt, the sodium ions and chloride ions, shield the electrical charges on the dough's gluten proteins. This shielding effect allows the proteins to pack tightly together into a stronger, highly elastic web called the gluten network. It is like pulling the knots on a fishing net tighter so no carbon dioxide gas escapes. If you forget that 1.5 to 2.5% of salt in your dough, your bread won't just taste flat, it will physically collapse into a dense brick in the oven. Salt also controls the rate of yeast fermentation. Yeast fermentation is simply microscopic bugs digesting food and exhaling air bubbles to make bread rise. Salt physically draws moisture through the yeast cell walls. It uses a process called osmosis, where water migrates across a barrier to balance out the saltiness. It works exactly like a dry sponge soaking up a spill through a paper towel. This dehydration puts the brakes on how fast the yeast can eat sugar and produce gas. Subscribe, please. Subscribe, please. This controlled slowdown is vital. It gives the dough time to develop complex bakery-level flavor instead of tasting like plain raw flour. As Chain Baker points out, a dough made without salt can ferment too rapidly and uncontrollably. This property of salt can be used for slowing down and controlling sourdough-derived leavens and yeasted preferments. Plant cells are built like brick walls. They rely on rigid minerals to hold their shape. The salty half of salt, the sodium ion, acts like a chemical wrecking ball for plant structures. Vegetables contain a mineral that holds the plant cells rigid, called calcium ions. Think of calcium as the mortar between the bricks of a plant cell. The biological glue keeping those vegetable walls firm is called pectin. When you add salt to the cooking water, the sodium displaces the structural calcium in the pectin of the plant cell walls. It removes the mortar from the brick wall, causing the structure to significantly soften and yield. This chemical swap acts as a tenderizer for tough beans and root vegetables. Adding a heavy pinch of salt to your bean-soaking water significantly reduces cooking time and guarantees a creamy rather than chalky texture. Salt also aggressively pulls water out of raw vegetables. Inside a tomato cell, there are tiny storage bubbles of water called vacuoles. Think of them as microscopic water balloons. Through osmosis, salt collapses these microscopic vacuoles. It leaves behind a much denser, concentrated natural flavor. This is exactly why salting tomatoes and letting them sit makes them taste intensely like summer instead of watery and bland. Salt acts as a traffic jammer on your tongue's taste buds. The biological sensors on your tongue are constantly sending messages to your brain. Salt physically interferes with your bitter taste receptors, so the sweetness and umami can shine through louder. If your coffee or dark chocolate tastes too bitter, sugar isn't the best way to fix it. A tiny pinch of salt magically erases the harshness without adding sugar. The rich, mouth-watering flavor found in meat and mushrooms, called umami, completely takes over. Sodium salts chemically suppress the taste perception of bitter compounds, reducing the bitterness of substances like urea by over 70%. The wildest reaction happens with dairy. The reason ultra-processed American cheese melts flawlessly while fancy cheddar turns into a greasy oil slick all comes down to a specific type of salt shattering the milk proteins. In cheese processing, calcium-sequestering salts like phosphates and citrates decrease the free calcium ions. This dissociates the milk proteins, known as casein micelles, into smaller clusters and enhances their hydration. It creates the perfectly gooey matrix of melted cheese. To master more chemical reactions that build superior flavor, watch our full breakdown on the Maillard reaction next. Salt isn't just a seasoning, it is a highly active chemical agent that physically reconstructs proteins and perfectly erases bitterness. If you like this, how your water is ruining your food, that's the next one.